No spin, no bias, no censorship. I'm Dan Wood, and this is Outspoken Live episode number 257. And breaking today, Slippery Starmer has waved the white flag to the hard-left socialists in Labour over welfare reform as his entire premiership is on the verge of collapse, with talk within the failing party of confidence votes, general elections being called, and even the MSM finally revealing details that they've all known for months about his big secret. And Angela Rayner is doing nothing to dampen down the speculation that she is heading for Downing Street.
I've fed up of waiting for a female Labour leader. Do you think by the time I get back there'll be one?
You might have to wait and see, but look,
No comment?
I think, look, we've had female leaders, well, I'm sure there'll be female leaders.
Wait and see, that's the opposite of a denial. So there are quite obviously fears now of a communist-style regime under Rayner that could finish off the country for good.
The communists in government will never back down. They will never, ever stop. Once there's a second term of communism, trust me, the only way that they're going to be able to be removed is by us actually removing them. You think it's bad now? It's going to get even worse. Communists don't give up power.
So I'll reveal all in my digest next as GB News star Adam Brooks becomes the latest to go public on Slippery Starmer's complicated personal life. Then we'll hear from the man we saw just then, Nick Tenconi, leader of the UKIP party. He'll also reveal all about his recent fiery trip to Calais and his plan to make Tommy Robinson Sir Tommy Robinson. Also coming up on the show today, Narinder Kaur humiliated on live TV as her Italian food viral tweet is exposed as a total fraud. We're going to show you that hilarious moment. And the BBC Breakfast Nagamunchetti bullying row explodes as the Under Fire presenter is forced to say sorry to Spice Girl Jerry Horner after a humiliating interview. Then in the Royal Uncancelled After Show on Substack, the royal family finally weigh in on that Meghan Markle twerking video. This isn't good news for Prince Harry. And guess what? So excited. Lady Colin Campbell is going to be unleashed on all of the royal news. So just head to my Substack to watch. You sign up at www.outspoken.live. We'll also reveal today's Greatest Britain and Union Jackass at the end of the show. Your nominees for Jackass, which you can vote for right now in our YouTube live chat. Nagamunchetti, nominated by Darren Donaldson for her rude snipe at Jerry Horner, causing BBC execs to have to apologise to Jerry after. Diane Abbott, nominated by It's Only Me 44 for backing Palestine action over the RAF prize Norton sabotage. And Narinder Kaur, nominated by Scott Fly 632 for blatant attention-seeking and victimhood pantomime to keep relevant. He says it's becoming exhausting. We should all just stop engaging with her. Oh God. Sorry, because she is on the show. Not personally, but we are going to show you. We're going to show. It's too good not to show you the moment that she's humiliated on live TV as a total fraud. I promise you, you've got to stand by for that. But now, let's go. Slippery Starmer is shot. He's a lame duck hated PM with a deputy now actively working to finish him off, and a complicated personal life all of Westminster is talking about, which the MSM is now finally threatening to expose. A GB News star has become the latest to go on the record today. I'll tell you who and what they said very shortly. But mark my words, this is a crisis of epic proportions, even if Starmer continues to live in denial. His authority is almost completely gone. This is the most unpopular Prime Minister in living memory, despite securing a fake landslide. And ironically, he's more hated by the left than patriots on the right, and that is saying something. So here's the latest. Two-tier care waved the white flag in Parliament today, pretending to stare down Labour's hard-left socialist rebels, while actually admitting the game is up after open warfare gripped his government.
On social security, I recognise there is a consensus across the House on the urgent need for reform of our welfare system. because the British people deserve protection and dignity when they're unable to work, and support into work when they can. At the moment, they are failed every single day by the broken system created by the Conservatives, which achieves neither. I know colleagues across the House are eager to start fixing that, and so am I, and that all colleagues want to get this right, and so do I. We want to see reform implemented with Labour values of fairness. That conversation will continue in the coming days so we can begin making change together on Tuesday.
Even the Onside Times newspaper now actively promoting the idea of regime change within Labour. And party grandee David Blunkett appeared on the Labour Broadcasting Company, you know what I mean, LBC this morning, to suggest a confidence vote could become inevitable.
David, things are absolutely on the edge as we speak. How much trouble are they in? What damage does it do to the government if they go for this vote and then they lose it?
Well, if they lost it, they'd have to go for a vote of confidence, I think. But the embarrassment of that 1 year in, the difficulty of that leaves you with two problems. One is you've been humiliated, and the second is you've still got the problem. The welfare issue has not gone away. So solving the problem, not taking the hit, is the sensible solution.
But it's the Labour women who are finally seeking their revenge on Starmer and making no secret of it in the MSM. Watch Diane Abbott's response to his dismissal of Labour MPs during an appearance on the British Bashing Corporation's Newsnight.
Welfare. Why have you so spectacularly failed to read the mood among your MPs over this issue? Is it because, as your critics suggest, you don't have the political nous and judgment required for the top job?
You won't find many Labour MPs who are not accepting we need reform. So we're absolutely on the page with them. And is it tough going? Are there plenty of people and noises off? Yes, of course. There always are, there always have been, there always will be. But the important thing is to focus on the change that we want to bring about.
Faisal, shall I just say, that noise is off remark. Well, sorry, let me...
Talking about his MPs, his colleagues, as noises off, is partly why he's in the problems he's in. Noises off.
Now look, I know what you're thinking. Diane Abbott, she's a far-left Corbynista, why does she matter? Well, okay, what about Starmer's deputy, Angela Rayner, who last night appeared on the Peston show on Woke ITV and made it very clear that she was no longer ruling out a challenge to the PM.
To give people those opportunities.
Just a final one. I'm leaving the country for a few years, having spent 20 years covering Westminster. I've fed up of waiting for a female Labour leader. Do you think by the time I get back there'll be one?
You might have to wait and see, but look,
no comment?
I think, look, we've had female leaders, well, I'm sure there'll be female leaders.
We've had a female Labour leader.
Well, we haven't had a female Labour leader, but there's more than one way of leading. You don't have to be the top job to lead things.
Are you basically leading? Is that what you're trying to tell us here?
I'm saying that actually when you're in government, you're part of a team and that people play to their strengths, and therefore there's no, we don't have a presidential system here in the UK.
You think Keir Starmer's not in charge?
He is in charge. Of course he's the Prime Minister, but he plays a role alongside, I'm sure he would say, the rest of the pitch and the rest of the team.
You're looking at our next Prime Minister, folks, as terrifying as that is, because all of a sudden, now the chips are down, the mainstream media talking about Starmer's big secret for the first time. We had Alex Phillips revealing yesterday that if Starmer breaks the journalist code, there are people in the MSM who are considering reporting on it. Today, a GB News star has gone on the record about Starmer's big secret for the first time. So Adam Brooks posted on X, the media published every detail about Boris Johnson's family issues, his pasts and his misdemeanours. Question, when will they publish Sir Keir Starmer's? Answer, when the powers that be want him gone or when the Labour hierarchy think enough is enough. Now, Adam Brooks followed that up on his Substack, asking, why is Keir Starmer being protected? Boris wasn't so lucky. He wrote, fast forward to today, Keir Starmer is sitting in power, Labour's at the wheel, And suddenly the cameras go dark. No exposés, no deep dives, and no headlines asking questions about his family shape or setup. Nothing. It's as if Sir Keir is some sort of sacred cow the media daren't touch. But why? We're told he's a private man. Really? That excuse didn't wash with Boris, so why does it fly now? Why the double standards? Why do we know everything about Boris's family, alleged affairs and dinner parties, yet barely a whisper about Starmer's inner circle, his home life, or the very loud whispers of, quote, complications in his personal setup? Let's not be coy. There are rumours swirling Westminster, some pretty serious ones. And if even half of them had involved Boris or any right-leaning figure, that'd have been front-page news for a week. But with Starmer, nothing. Total radio silence. The media class isn't just asleep at the wheel. They've thrown the car keys into the Thames and gone for cocktails with their Labour mates. And the thing is, all of this ignores the bigger issue for the establishment. What is really coming? The very real prospect of a Reform UK landslide at the next election. This is how Matt Goodwin, Reform UK supporter, put it today. While first YouGov MRP since 2024 general election, Reform is now by far the largest party and will transform the map. You see there, Reform 271 seats, Labour 178, Lib Dems 81, Tories 46. But understandably, the question marks over Nigel Farage also growing. Look at this post from his GB News establishment colleague, Camilla Tominey. This was taken at the American ambassador's party earlier in the week. Yep, that's what you see there. Farage, seemingly so keen to be accepted by the establishment, chumming around with the hated and evil Labour US ambassador, Peter Mandelson. As Misunderstood posted on X, Farage giggling with Mandelson just like he was caught giggling and whispering with Starmer in the Commons a few weeks ago, and yet he's got nothing but scorn for many of his own supporters and those on his own side. So is there a challenge coming to Reform UK on the right? UKIP leader Nick Tenconi certainly thinks so.
The communists in government will never back down. They will never, ever stop. Once there's a second term of communism, trust me, the only way that they're going to be able to be removed is by us actually removing them. You think it's bad now, it's going to get even worse. Communists don't give up power. It is up to us to provide the political solution to take it back. I would like to criticise directly Keir Starmer. If you've all seen it, this week he's actually said, quote, he's worried about Iranian terrorists on British soil because the West's going to kick off with Iran. Not our wars, not our soldiers, nothing to do with us. And we're paying for it, but he's worried that it'll kick off.
Nick Tenconi and UKIP have also unveiled an alternative to welfare reform. Let's just deport the illegals, right? He wrote, the government wants to save £30 billion by 2030 by slashing benefits to the most vulnerable within society. Marxists adore a culture of death and destruction. Instead of punishing our people for the establishment's multiculturalism policies, why don't they deport out-of-work migrants, and it will save us £21 billion a year, deport illegals in hotels and save Britain £2 billion a year, deport foreign nationals in our prisons, saving £550 million a year. Starmer is a traitor and a liar. Balance the books. Begin mass deportations. And I'm delighted that the UKIP leader Nick Tenconi here today for the uncancelled interview. Nick Tenconi, so great to have you here. And wow, big day in politics. So we've got a lot to get to. But can we talk first about Slippery Starmer? Because it feels almost inevitable now that he will be rolled. It is just a matter of time. But as you pointed out in that video in the digest, him being rolled means a takeover of the left of the Labour Party. It means Angela Rayner as Prime Minister, and it means communism coming here. I mean, socialism is bad enough, but it will only get worse. Not that I'm wanting him to stay, by the way, to be very clear. I'm not. He's an evil man.
Yeah, I mean, Dan, great to have be back on the show. Thanks for having me. Where do we begin with this? Labour have got, I'll remind your audience, Labour have got a super majority. Now, we all thought that Boris's 80-seat majority was the be-all and end-all. Labour have a super majority. Starmer's a Marxist. Now, who is Rayner? Is she a communist? Is she a socialist? The people must decide. UKIP is clear. And I'd like to bring in some points from today's current affairs. Tice at Reform has made it very clear that he supports what Labour are talking about in terms of welfare reform. Again, why would Tice and High Command at Reform want to go anywhere near mass deportations? Why would they want to go anywhere near addressing the money that could be saved if we have a set of stones in government, actual leadership, unwavering courage, delivering to the British people what they want, and to deliver justice to the girls as well? So we have to ask ourselves, what are the choices? Let's say Starmer goes. I mean, it's been an absolute calamity. Starmer goes and is replaced with a supermajority with something even more far left. Again, left-wing extremism, left-wing fascism is what we are engulfed with. The wickedness, we saw what happened in Parliament last Tuesday, last Friday. We are engulfed in wickedness. So let's just say that Rayner comes in and she's even worse. They've got a Labour supermajority, guys. Now, UKIP, under my leadership, is leading the charge saying we want to take our country back. No mercy, no diplomacy, and no surrender. Mass deportations and remigration is all that people should be talking about who want to get anywhere near power, who are on the patriotic right, and they simply refuse to do it. So what have we got? A choice between potentially more Starmer, more Rayner, or more libertarianism. And I think that's a huge problem. People have woken up to it and they're sick of it.
Include Reform UK, Nick, in the more libertarian banner?
That we start talking about this and normalizing these common sense discussions. Absolutely, Dan. I think that Nigel wants to be part of the club. I've given him and High Command at Reform so many chances. I think they want to be part of the club. And I think that I'm often asked about pressure works, activism works, lobbying work, lots of groups, lots of think tanks, lots of pressure groups. They all want to remain party apolitical, but they want to push an ideology, which is great. The problem that we've got is that the opportunity is Labour, Marxism, modern day left, progressivism on steroids, or more libertarianism. So pressure works, lobbying works, but the reality is there's an awful lot of corruption within Westminster. That's it. It's the smoking gun is 1 + 1 = 2.
To see that picture? I mean, look, I know it's just a picture, but sometimes a picture tells 1,000 words. Like, why does Nigel want to be playing around with Peter Mandelson, the evil Labour US ambassador? Like, what's that about? Do you think this guy is so desperate to become part of the establishment?
I really do think so, Dan. Compare this with my rhetoric, a year ago, 6 months ago. I've been more than fair and I've been more than kind. We all know that Nigel's stance on anything right-wing and or Christian nationalist is never going to come in to his sphere of influence, his rhetoric, his dialogue. He's on record.
Well, he says Reform isn't even a right-wing party now.
Again, by his own admission. So I think it's a really important question. The nature of Nigel and of Reform is libertarian masquerading as patriotic, socially conservative. Libertarianism leads to liberalism. Liberalism leads to communism. And I am proud to be leading the charge at UKIP with good people like yourself and the rise of the new media to educate our disillusioned, denigrated, downtrodden communities and on the patriotic right, the voters, the backbone of this country. Some might call it the working class. Liberalism leads to communism. We don't need any more libertarianism. It's always veiled as freedom and as choice, but it's more establishment, it's more corruption, and it's more backhanders. Can we trust Nigel? Can we trust Reform? I say no, we can't.
I want to get your take on the Zia Yusuf thing, because when he initially was forced out, and he was forced out as chairman, you posted on X, if it was an error, you posted on X, let me get to the right one, pressure mounted from UKIP and Turning Point UK calling for Islamic headdresses to be banned for many months. then picked up by other parties, results in Mohammed Ziyadin Yusuf showing his true colours. Nigel should never have appointed Zia in the first place. Pressure works. But then, Nick, literally there's a total 180 within 24 hours because Zia Yusuf briefs to Andrew Pearce in the Daily Mail that he's not going to be going quietly. There's a suggestion that he's going to blow the whistle on some type of racism or whatever within Reform UK. And all of a sudden, the guy's back. And David Bull, who I actually think is a good guy, who's the new chairman of the party, seems to be a patsy for Zia Yusuf. Like, Zia Yusuf is pulling all the strings. He's still making all of the decisions. He's at HQ. He's next to Nigel Farage. So he proved in some ways that he's more powerful than Nigel Farage. Do you share the concerns of people who believe that Zia Yusuf wants to be the first Muslim Prime Minister of the United Kingdom?
Absolutely. So I'm on record as saying that I think reform is a Trojan horse for Islam. So some of the things we just discussed, I think the vast majority of people can agree. People are sick of liberalism. They're sick of libertarianism. It's the backdoor to corruption in Westminster. With all these traitors and cowards and snakes, we're sick of it. But I think there's something more sinister going on with reform, and I think reform is a Trojan horse for Islam, and I think Zia was the perfect candidate for that. And my question becomes, which I guess legally I'm not allowed to say, but at what point do we start asking who's been paid what to facilitate this, the Trojan horse of Islam?
Speaking of legalities, can we talk about Keir Starmer and why the mainstream media all of a sudden now that the pressure's on, now that Labour are turning on him, all of a sudden there's this suggestion that the mainstream media are considering returning to the story of his big secret. Now, I've been much more honest than anyone else, really, that this relates to the true shape of his family and the fact that his marriage to Lady Victoria Starmer, who I have great sympathy with, is in deep trouble, and that there was much more to what he said at the time about why he was really in Lord Ali's penthouse, even though he tried to blame it on his son setting his GCSEs. Do you think the public has a right to know, or is the mainstream media right to say this is Keir Starmer's personal life, maybe it doesn't matter? From my point of view, I know that they cared about every single twist and turn in Boris Johnson's personal life.
100%, Dan. So I noticed that in your very good intro. Look at the persecution. I'm not a fan of Boris Johnson. Why would I be a fan of establishment puppets? But it's a really important point. Why isn't Keir Starmer exposed, bearing in mind allegations, bearing in mind rumors? Why isn't the mainstream media courting at least the suggestion that there might be truth behind some of the allegations? And then most importantly, they do that on the right. Can you imagine the nonsense that what I've signed up for? Imagine what's gonna, the attacks on me. Now that's part of it. That's fine. Lastly, should a candidate for the premiership, should Prime Minister be subject to that? Absolutely. He's the main guy. He's commander in chief. It's so boring, and with the mainstream media and the endless lies and deceit, it's so boring. I know you obviously share that sentiment. Why aren't we having these questions answered? Why isn't he being put under the spotlight?
Very, very good point. Very good point. And I think we know why, because he is part of the Westminster establishment. The Westminster establishment and the mainstream media look after each other. And I think we deserve honesty. Developing today, UKIP has revealed a plan to make Stephen Yaxley Lennon Sir Tommy Robinson if they ever take government. We'll get the latest on that with the party's leader, Nick Tenconi, in just one moment. But first, I want to show you the extraordinary trip that he recently made to Calais, where he was taking on the illegal immigrants very soon to arrive on British shores. Watch.
You're racist. I will spit on your face with that mouth.
Yeah, best of luck with that. You are not welcome in Great Britain. You are not welcome. I don't care how far you've travelled, you are not welcome in Great Britain. And you will be made to feel unwelcome.
You don't allow to make camera here.
Yeah. We're filming you.
I talk with you. It is
Shut up.
perfect.
We're filming you. We're filming all of you. We're filming you. We're filming you. We're filming all of you. You are not welcome in Britain. Don't tell me who do you think you're talking to. I can't film you. You're all being filmed. This is all going to British intelligence. You will not be welcome.
Nick Tenconi. Okay, I want the full story behind that. What was it like to do that? Because what you've seen up until now is mainstream organizations like GB News sort of tippy-toe around and try and sort of prove the point. You just went for these people. Did you feel threatened? What was the reaction? Oh, well, let's just get your sound back. There we go. Start again. Start again.
So first of all, I'm truly blessed to be surrounded by courageous, brave men who were willing to take part on the mission with me. I'm just the guy that does the talking, Dan. It really is all power and credit to them. Brave things. So why did I go? Well, I know that Matt Goodwin and Nigel Farage love to talk about the numbers. They love to talk about 9,000 this and 100,000 that, and you can pick a date, can't you, to make it sound better or worse. The numbers model is great. You know what that does? It causes outrage within the patriotic community. It's just it's demoralization and just one massive psyop as far as I'm concerned, just to make us even more downtrodden. And then, of course, you've got, as you rightly say, GB News. I don't know how much these guys are on. I'm presuming it's hundreds of thousands. They've got security. They're comfortable. They tiptoe. They've got the really expensive cameras, which clearly means if it's an who they are, but if it's a seriously big bit of kit, the migrants kind of know. They probably have to speak to the NGOs now that I've exposed that. So we decided, and the team decided, let's actually go and let's stop a boat. Let's go and let's physically destroy a boat. Now, for brevity, because there's a lot to cover, I will tell you now that in terms of our intel, once we were at the promenade near the layers to getting to the channel. And at one point, deployment was about 2,000 yards from. I wasn't going to put my team in that danger. They could. We're right on the shore, 1,500 yards out. So risk assessments and health and safety was done. I'm not risking their lives. And we decided, therefore, to head to the migrant camps. And here's where it gets really interesting for your viewers. It's a pleasure to be able to reveal, as heartbreaking as it is, but once again, it's the far left, domestic terrorists, left-wing fascists that are standing outside the gates and the buildings and the industrial parks and the disused abandoned areas. It's the left-wing NGOs and the left-wing fascists, Antifa, Socialist Worker Party types. We weren't expecting to see that. You saw how we operated. We're happy to speak to them. We got told no filming, no cameras. Balaclavas went on and the middle finger was put to us. These men felt no fear. From the footage, an awful lot of people essentially not feeling frightened, not feeling intimidated, and the NGO gatekeepers were constantly saying, you're not allowed to film here, you're not allowed to be here, which is absolute nonsense. And then as the documentary progresses on, you'll see towards the end where we picked one migrant camp, Antifa, left-wing fascists, communists were there to block us from actually entering into the migrant camp, speaking to these people. The men would put on balaclavas, they'd raise their middle fingers. We saw one guy that had the obligatory Kalashnikov pension on the necklace. A lot of the guys had the teardrop tattoos around the eyes, which is to signify that they've murdered or they've killed or whatever. But most interestingly, these NGOs, Care for Calais, La Vie Active, and sickeningly in a bastardization attempt at our faith, Catholic Secular, There are so many different lefty NGOs, incredibly well-funded NGOs that essentially allow for what I'm going to describe as the 80% of the migrants' welfare and travel. The Albanian traffickers, all they do, Dan, is top and tail the deal. They do the 20%. They get them there at the start, and then they deploy them at the end. The 80% is the NGOs that feed them, clothe them, give them shelter, protect them, and also probably put up quite a lot of resistance in a lobbying, pressure, activism capacity against French law enforcement and against the French police. And last but not least, let me tell you this and your audience. I wanted to see the women and children. I wanted to see the doctors, the nurses, the engineers. We have been lied to. It's enough with the numbers, enough with the outrage. These are fighting age males who are criminals. They are trying to enter our country illegally, who come from Islamic countries. That is all you need to know. There were no women and children. It is fighting age males. And the cherry on the cake, the brick on the chimney for you and your audience, when we confronted these people, they backed away, they covered their face, they didn't want to be filmed. When they started to get upset and were forming packs to attack, and this is very clear in the videos, they would start using English. And they would say things like, we're coming to Britain. It's your fault we're coming here. And now we see the truth, Dan. Feel that it is their right to come to Britain. We will bend the knee. We will be subjugated to something no one voted for. We will facilitate and pay for criminality. Breaking into a country is a criminal act. These people were not afraid. They see us as the bad guys, and they're here with malicious intent on Britain. They're not coming as our brothers and sisters. They're not coming as law-abiding citizens. And we're going back to Calais as a result of fundraising for the opportunity to go back and this time confront the Albanian traffickers as well.
It's just so disturbing what's going on. And then, of course, once these criminals, and can I just be clear, I mean, the vast majority of these people are criminals. I mean, we're talking about some of the world's worst rapists, child sex offenders, drug dealers, murderers. These are the people who are in those camps. And then once they come to our shores, we get stories like this today, which I know will just horrify you. So Christopher Snowdon explained on X, migrant can stay in UK because he does not want to shave. And here's more details in the story. An asylum seeker, well, he's not an asylum seeker, is he? He's an illegal migrant, but this is the language the mainstream media use. An asylum seeker from Tajikistan has been allowed to stay in the UK because he would have had to shave his beard off if he was deported. The unnamed man won an appeal after arguing that he could be tortured and have his facial hair forcibly removed if he was sent home. The Home Office tried to deport him back to the Central Asian state, but an asylum court has now ruled that he may be entitled to international protection in the UK because of his beard. In Tajikistan, beards are unofficially banned by the government, and hundreds of thousands of men have been arrested for having one in the last decade. Men in the country with beards are arrested, shaved against their will, and have their fingerprints taken by police. So that's what we're dealing with. And another story which has just emerged over the past day, Active Patriot has posted on this. An illegal migrant has seriously assaulted a nurse at a doctor's surgery, putting her in critical condition in hospital before slashing his own throat with a knife. Now, these stories are happening all the time, Nick. Yet the government is allowing this illegal invasion of our country to continue.
I suppose if I was to tell the tale of Calais leading off from just now, Dan, the men were smoking drugs. You know the smell of cannabis. We've got it all on film. They're smoking drugs. One guy was fitting on the floor, and we said to the left-wing extremists, the Guardians, we said, you really need to help. Never mind this shouting match. You really need to help this guy. They didn't care. There's an awful lot of drugs. We saw it over and again. The behavior, the sloth-like nature of it all. You can tell. Now, listen, in terms of who these people are, you and I and your audience know that this is the dregs of countries that fighting age males that despise us. We also know the tent cities that are going to be popped up around the UK where we already have a problem with vagrancy, with homelessness, because of the ultimate downfall and destruction of society, the working class being the forgotten class, the most betrayed by the establishment, which is why we fight. So we do what we do. So we know about the tent cities, we know about the demographic of people coming over, and most distressing and most alarming, good, young, patriotic women are now starting to use their TikTok accounts and their social media accounts to literally record and film when they are either commercially or at leisure, they are using public transport for whatever reason, but typically this is going to happen at night, where migrants, and we know where these people come from, we can tell they're not British citizens, regardless of whether they've been given a passport or not. They're harassing, asking for the Snapchat of these typically young girls, but it's all women. We also know, to your point, about the threat of violence. Social media is inundated. Scenes at Earl's Court 48 hours ago of a man being pursued by a migrant, homeless or otherwise, trying to steal his watch. No one did anything. No one fought back. So we talk about lawless Britain. Be under no illusion to your audience and to everyone else that cares about Britain. This is domestic terrorism facilitated by the British government.
Yes.
So we can point the finger at Keir and Labour all we want. What about the 14 years of Tory rule? And here's the thing, people will probably forgive them. People will probably talk about a reformed Tory merger, or they'll talk about just trusting the new leader
because
of the
we're
Tory
desperate,
party.
aren't we? We're desperate, and it feels like there's no alternative. And I know that's why you're trying to provide that alternative. By the way, I had to show you something when I arrived back in the country on Sunday night. I literally couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe the front of these people. Look at this. Welcome to the UK. We check 100% of arriving passengers' passports to help keep the UK safe and secure. And I just thought, piss off. No, you don't. Because every single illegal who is arriving in a boat does not have their passport checked. We're having the piss taken out of us, Nick.
I did a video about a month ago. I forget where I was traveling, but I was walking through the airport, and I remember it because Sharon Osbourne has commented. It's on Instagram, and she's commented on it, and she's sort of gone out of her way to sort of praise me. So she wanted to keep that one quiet. Apologies, Sharon, but we need you to jump on the team for the big win. So hopefully someone can connect me with Sharon. So I did this video walking through the airport, and it was a really silly video, being sarcastic. I've had to present my passport. I've had to be scanned. I've been eyeballed. I've had people look at me suspiciously. Now, don't get me wrong. That's great. That's kind of what we want, right? It's called border control. So again, let's go back to the numbers model. We know that this is all, in terms of the illegal invasion, this has happened in earnest since circa 2018. We know the tickets are about 1,500 quid. We know the Albanian mafia have grossed about 150 million. We know of the suspected 3 to 5 million illegal immigrants, even if 50% are bad eggs. You're talking over 1 million rapists, sex offenders, those who have malintent on children. Who's allowed back on the boat down? There's a video at the end of the documentary where I say the weather has done more to stop the illegals coming over, hence why we weren't able to confront the traffickers due to weather. The weather's done more than the establishment to stop the traffickers and to stop the illegal invasion. So let me be very clear and even more frank, if you'll permit me.
Please.
What we are witnessing is crusade number 9 to the secular community, to those people that reject any idea of God, who demonize me for the idea of Christian nationalism. We are being invaded on a 9th crusade. They were beaten for 500 years in 8 different crusades. This is nothing different. And people have got their heads buried in the sand if they think that this is not exactly that. It's domestic terrorism facilitated by the British government. It is called the Islamic Caliphate in Britain, and people need to start waking up to the realities of what we are now engulfed in.
Well, I think a lot of people are starting to wake up, because we've certainly seen the Overton window shift on the issue of Tommy Robinson. And you went viral the other day because in an exchange with, I believe, an independent reporter, you were asked what a UKIP government would do with Tommy Robinson. Here's what happened.
Nick, you said about Tommy earlier from the clip. If it came to, would you offer Tommy a place in UKIP?
Yeah, of course. So membership to Tommy, excuse me, membership to Tommy is open and to stand as well.
Yeah, because I know Reform won't have him.
No, they won't have him. So it's really simple.
Why would they want to go to Reform and whoever put them under bus time and time again?
Tommy can join.
UKIP hasn't.
Tommy can join, and Tommy can stand as well. We all know he's going to journalism career.
Yeah.
And we were asking for his endorsement. Same thing. We're asking for his endorsement. So let's hold a good thought.
Yeah, because of what's happened to him in the past.
Yeah.
Going through the way he's been treated by the government and the mainstream media.
Yeah. He's done enough. The guy's a hero. Yeah. He's done enough.
Sacrifice.
He's done enough.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a young man, but he's got kids. He's got family. Like, the guy's done enough.
Yeah.
So back me. Give me that. That's my message to Tommy. Give me that power. Command me to lead us to victory and carry on doing what he does. And he's really good at it. He's shit hot at it as well. So.
Yeah, he's been investigating the grooming gang.
Yeah, I mean, look at the work he's done. It's absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
It's totally transformational.
We owe him a big apology.
The government do owe him a big apology.
We owe him an apology because he spoke the truth.
They owe him a knighthood.
Yeah.
Under my government, he'd get that.
He'd get that anyway.
Yeah, he'd be knight him 100%. 100%.
And you're embracing this now, Nick, because look, the UKIP has released some new material saying under a UKIP government, Tommy Robinson would be knighted, not thrown in jail. Talk to me about this. Have you had any talks with Tommy since his release?
No. So I think that what I can tell you is that obviously he needs to. Well, I presume he needs to be on R&R now. Much needed and well deserved. Again,
yes.
He's a family man, so he knows where to find me at any time, day or night. If we need to talk, we can talk. Topic, etc. Teaming up, whatever. Again, I don't know until I know. But what I do know is that the British government, the establishment, owes this man a debt, an apology, and a knighthood. And that is what I am saying to the British people. Put me in power, and that is exactly, we will right the wrongs of so much state-based persecution against truth, against justice, and against light, because Tommy has done so much to expose the reality of one of the biggest stains on Britain's history, the rape genocide of the suspected million women, British native girls, who were targeted specifically because the enemy views them as kuffar. The enemy views them as unclean. This scandal exposes the religious bigotry, racism, and xenophobia that is inherent within the faith known as Islam. And meanwhile, of course, there's a lot of victimhood taking to the streets, and poor me in the wake of what Hamas did in 2023. So these wrongs have to be rewritten. And I'm saying that I will do that if you put me in power. God bless Tommy Robinson.
Breaking today, Narinder Kaur has been humiliated on live television by Judge Rob Rinder for telling not just porcupine, but I would say flat out lies about claims she made about the lack of ethnic food in Italy. I'm going to take you through this full story, show you the incredible moment where she is humiliated, and then her confrontation with Carol Malone as well. But first, the posts on X that started this whole thing. Narinder wrote, "Sicily is beautiful. People extremely stylish. Food is meh. We've ventured out, tired tourist traps, and recommended, and it's all so boring. My body is desperate for Indian food or just something with taste." Then she said, "Day 7 in Sicily. I've eaten 19 types of pasta, the same pizza over and over, and would now kill for a curry or samosa. Why is international cuisine so scarce here?" And she went on. So in order to eat all this wonderful fresh fish in Italy, we had to go posh restaurant above our budget. And again, bland. I'm sorry if this upsets you all. I think Italy is stylish and extremely pretty. People dress so well and are lovely, but food is bland. I think Molly May was right after all. And before you all say India is just all Indian food, not true. They offer all kinds of international cuisine. Okay. Can you believe this? I mean, can you believe this? Because Narinder Kaur would be the first shouting racism. If I were to go to India and say, this is just so disgusting that they only have curries and I want my lasagna so badly. But of course, what was most interesting and what plays into this idea, which I know many of you have told me for some time, that Narinder seeks clout by purposefully looking for attention, is that the facts just didn't add up. And Judge Rob Rinder, presented those receipts during a mortifying episode of the Jeremy Vine Show on Channel 5.
For a second, Narinder, let me just bring it back into for one question I've got. You know, you were there for about a week, right?
Yes.
Now, you could have gone to, presumably, other cuisines. I mean, why
No,
did
there
you
was actually, that's the other point.
Yeah.
Now, when tourists come to London, we don't offer them fish and chips for the entire week, do we?
Right.
We offer, the world is global. Italy, it's like, where is the, where's the Indian food?
Just to be clear, right?
Right.
Because I just wanted to check this, but you might be right. There were no other international cuisines. It was pasta or pizza or the lot.
Nonsense.
Just have a look at this.
Look, I have been there.
So people can see. This, and I'll put it here. So
there we go.
These are the different restaurants. There are 2,453 restaurants in Sicily, 17 Indian, 21 Mexican, 102 Japanese. And if you want
Not
to
in Taormina.
You're quite
Not
sure
in
about
Taormina.
that? Okay,
100%
not
sure.
in Taormina,
No.
says Narinder. Narinder, I put this to you.
Oh, there you go.
Hang on,
No.
there
you go.
Where you were,
No.
you could have chosen between 3 Indian restaurants.
There wasn't.
7, hang on a second.
Oh, they haven't made it up, Narinder. This is what happened.
Well,
I'm not blind.
Just if you were worried,
yes,
you could have even gone for a
I wouldn't go for a McDonald's, so I do like to go and enjoy the cuisine. In Thailand, I could have ate pad thai every day because it's good. The point is, Italian food in Sicily, my experience was not good. I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend you. You're good-looking people, you're very stylish, and you're very kind and welcome, but your food is pan.
So do we think Narinder Kaur is just troll farming? Is that what this is about? Because as you could see, the facts that she had put out there on X were just a total lie. But knowing that she'd got it wrong, Narinder Kaur then entered a heated confrontation with fellow panelist Carol Malone, who she accused of jealousy.
No one asked
Do you know
Narinder
what
a
I
question.
think about Narinder's tweet? Let me tell you what I think about her tweet. I think a lot of her tweets, look at this food, isn't it? A lot of her pictures were put out with nice pictures with her swimwear or whatever. You were doing it to get clicks, Narinder, and you've insulted a country's cuisine on the strength of that.
As if you don't tweet to get clicks.
I don't,
I didn't
actually,
tweet for that.
No, I don't.
And actually, look at that,
I can assure you.
That was to say the wine was amazing. The wine was amazing.
I've never posted a tweet of myself with a bra and things.
So that's
never
a
in my life.
bikini. That's not a bra. That's a bikini.
Well, I haven't done that either.
I'm on holiday, so I'm going to post a bikini, and that's got nothing to do with it.
You sit with a bikini and have your dinner.
Well, I've been to the pool or beach.
Yeah, hang on, you've been to a beach couple. Look, it's Sicily.
I think Carol's jealous. And secondly, can I just say, I'd say there's a bit of jealousy because we're not talking about the bikini. We're talking about the pasta was dull.
You did it to get clicks.
No.
Yeah, you did.
Order for a second, Narinder. Let me just bring it back into for one question I've got. You know, you were there for about a week, right?
Yes.
Now, you could have gone to, presumably, other cuisines. I mean, why
No,
did
there
you...
was actually, that's the other point.
Yeah.
Now, when tourists come to London, we don't offer them fish and chips for the entire week, do we?
Right.
We offer, the world is global. Italy, it's like, where is the, where's the Indian...
So Narinder has now been exposed for troll farming and she's not happy about it. She posted on X, "I find it utterly weak and pathetic when those on the opposing side constantly accuse me of clickbait. If I found the food in Sicily pants, I found it pants. If I want to wear a bikini, I'll bloody wear one. It doesn't make me attention-seeking, nor is it clickbait. Watch."
I tell you what I found really annoying and unacceptable
is that when you go on panel shows, I've just come off a show, Jeremy Vine with Carol. Carol's fine, we're professional in the green room. And their go-to argument with people on the opposing side, and in particular with me, is, oh, you just do that for clickbait. As if they don't say controversial things for clickbait, but I never accused them of that. Now, if I found the food in Italy, where I spent thousands of pounds and I was so excited to go on this holiday, if I found that food substandard and a bit sloppy, that's my opinion. That doesn't make it a lie. And if my tweet of a plate of pizza went viral, how could I have known that or predicted that? It's a plate of pizza and I just said it wasn't great and I could have did with the other food. So, and if I wore a bikini, how does that make me attention-seeking or clickbait? I wear a bikini because I felt cute and I've lost weight and I was proud of my body.
Nick Tenconi, the leader of UKIP, over to you. Has Narinder Kaur just been exposed as a fraud?
What have you just put me through, Dan?
Apologies.
What have you just put me through? Okay, fine. So Narinder is a bigot. She's a racist. She's an ethno-nationalist as well. So she is the epitome of what Britain has been so hospitable. Britain has been so tolerant and so kind. And on the surface, even though UKIP is now challenging the whole idea of recruitment from other countries who are fundamentally racist, bigoted, and ethno-nationalist. We'll come on to that later. That's a hot potato that no one wants to go into. Narinder is your classic example of, I love being British. I'm British. We're down the brown community or whatever she espouses is downtrodden. We're all victims. And now look at the absolute. Italy is revered across the world for having the most intense, most beautiful, regardless of those that don't like the cuisine, that's no issue. But the most intense, most beautiful, most wonderful dining culture. The food is one part of it. But in terms of family, Christianity, time around the table, Italy and Sicily and its islands are revered for it. And she just couldn't help herself, could she? She just had to take to social media like she matters, like her opinion, like her bigoted, bizarre, xenophobic opinions matter. She has to take to it. And why does she do that? No one cares. All she does is cause outrage. The reason why she does it is because she's a professional agitator. She is trained. She knows exactly what she's doing. That's why she dresses the way she dresses. That's why she's happy. She's happy to parade herself in what she wears with the full face of makeup. She knows that it's going to win certain, not votes, but certain people's sway, whatever. She knows what she's doing. She's very clever. She confuses people with what she says. So she's everything that she calls the right out against. I don't know who's more vile, her or Carol Vorderman. Do you notice they both deploy the same tactics? They both want to be 20 years younger than they actually are. Do you notice this?
Oh, I noticed.
I actually had to look.
I actually had to look. Yeah,
you and I, you and I know what's going on, Dan. So I'll say it without saying it. But I actually had to Google their ages. It's time to grow up. I mean, it really, you're not 25, you're not 35 anymore, Narinder. It's disgusting. You're a professional agitator and you 100% are after your clickbait content, and your purpose, your design is outrage. Well, I think that's deplorable, actually.
I actually find Carol Vorderman even so grim, even mentioning her. She's the definition of mutton. But look, there's someone who I wanted to put in the same category and ask you about, Nick, because I think her and Narinder fill this same sort of void, and it is fall into the same sort of trap, and it is Yasmin Alibaya Brown, because she is someone who also constantly goes on the Jeremy Vine show to talk about how racist we all are, how terrible we all are, how terrible the United Kingdom is. Now, this is a woman, right, who was born in 1949 in the Indian community of Uganda. She emigrated to the United Kingdom, and I think it was in around 1972. And she went to Oxford in 1975. And since then, has had an absolutely charmed life, has become one of the most prominent left-wing journalists in the country, yet she can't look at what our country has given her and say this is a wonderful thing. So what is your solution with dealing with these people who I think have been given the most wonderful opportunities from the United Kingdom? I mean, Narinda's family certainly have. And yet they seem to trash us and want to portray us as racists constantly.
Yeah, so if you don't mind, Dan, I'll do a bit of a deep dive
Please.
into what I think the people I think what the people need to understand. We are living in psychological warfare. And what that means is that people have to understand outrage and so much confusion. Now, I'm familiar with this Brown Alison, forgive me, her middle name.
Yasmin Alibaya Brown is her name.
Yasmin. I've seen it because I've seen the edits that go out on social media. There's also a baroness in the Conservative Party. I forget her name. She's just as bad.
Oh, yes. Wolsey, Baroness Wolsey.
Again, despicable. So my inertia is obviously to go to deportations and remigration. But we've been very clear on the British Charter that we've got at UKIP that unless these people were here to subvert our culture, unless they were here supporting prescribed terrorist organizations, in terms of those people that have citizenship, who we would deprive of citizenship, also known as citizenship deprivation or remigration, that wouldn't apply to them, because people accuse us saying, if you don't agree with UKIP, then you're going home. That's simply not true at all. Nothing about that. Nothing could be further from the truth. We're after the bad guys, be they communist or Islamist, shall we say, in orientation. So what do we do with these people to the British public that's constantly slandered, that's constantly emasculated, that's constantly demotivated and denigrated by these narcissistic, virtue signaling nobodies who have done what? Pause for dramatic effect. Jumped on the left-wing bandwagon that has consumed our mainstream media, consumed our legislators, our policymakers, our think tanks, our lobby groups, everything down to our schools and the lanyards people wear and the flags people wear. It's trendy. Big spoiler alert, I said it. It's trending. It's fashionable to be a left-wing fascist. Somewhere along the line, progressivism, the cancer that is progressivism. There's no nuclear NASA scientist, mathematical algorithm, Dan. At some point, left-wing fascism became fashionable. It became trending. And guess what? Where there's a will, there's a way. And where there's a trend, there's capitalism. And there's money to be earned out of it. And that's why we say to your audience, who hopefully right now is grinning ear to ear and going, I get this guy. I understand the propaganda. I understand the madness. That's why we say this, Dan, ends when it all ends, when we say it ends. We stand up to the nonsense. And how do we do that? We understand far left totalitarian propaganda. We understand the Narindas of the world. We understand the demonization, the denigration project. We understand that these people are inherently unhinged, racist, bigoted, whilst we consider ourselves to be incredibly tolerant and kind, which was the established norm, by the way, until everything I've just described happened in earnest on steroids with the Black Lives Matter movement in 2020, where we had to choke on that whilst we were told to stay at home. This all ends when we say it ends, guys.
Yes, and do not keep buying in. If you're someone who's on the right, don't keep buying into their narrative, which I think is one of the problems that we're pointing out at the moment with Reform UK. Now, don't go anywhere. Much more from Nick Tenconi in just 1 minute, and we're going to cover this extraordinary story of a new crisis at the BBC over their breakfast show and alleged bully Naga Munchetti. Big developments on this. We're back with Nick in just 1 minute, so don't go anywhere. But first, do you ever wonder why it's so hard to sleep when you're stressed? Well, it turns out there's a feedback between sleep and cortisol. The less sleep you get, the more cortisol your body produces. And the more cortisol you have, especially at night, the harder it is to fall asleep or stay asleep. It's like a stress-sleep trap that you just can't get out of. Now, most people aren't pulling all-nighters, they're just chronically underslept, which means they're walking around with mid to high levels of cortisol all the time. And that spills into the night, resulting in light sleep, a restless mind, and waking up wired at 2 a.m. Have you done that? I know I have in the past. Now, it's not just a sleep issue, by the way. It's a stress physiology issue. And that's why I use Evening Being by Verso. It contains clinically studied ingredients shown in humans to reduce stress and anxiety, lower cortisol, support brain resilience under pressure, and regulate your body's natural stress response. Together, they not only help you feel calmer and improve your mood, but also promote deep, restorative sleep so you can finally stop walking through life in a constant state of stress and high cortisol and start feeling like yourself again. I have to be honest, after taking Evening Being, I see myself being able to fall asleep so much faster. I stay asleep all night. And actually, on the very rare occasions that I do wake up in the middle of the night, I can fall back to sleep. So this is a product that could change your life. Click on the link in the show description or head on over to evening.ver.so/outspoken and use the coupon code outspoken at checkout. You will save 15% off your first order. Try Evening Being tonight. Wake up feeling refreshed tomorrow. Let me repeat the address for you. evening.ver.so/outspoken and use the coupon code outspoken at checkout to save 15%. But now back to the show. Breaking today, the BBC crisis over bullying accusations levelled at BBC Breakfast host Naga Munchetty are getting far more serious as the corporation, the British bashing corporation as I call it, faces growing criticism that it's sexist. Because of course, they've got rid of all of the Strictly Come Dancing stars like Wyn Evans for making a sex joke, which Naga Munchetty did too, but Naga is being able to broadcast every day despite these claims of bullying of a younger staff member, these claims of sex talk offending people behind the scenes at BBC Radio 5 Live, and now emerges an apology to the Spice Girl Jerry Horner, formerly Hallowell, Ginger Spice, really great woman who, by the way, I know from personal experience is very, very easy to interview, following this appearance on BBC Breakfast, where she faced what has been described as bullying from the co-hosts Naga Munchetty and Charlie State, and it has been revealed today she received an apology over. We'll get reaction from UKIP leader Nick Tenconi in just one moment, but first,
use these rules. If you've ever felt could use these rules. If you've ever felt bullied,
what's rule one?
Have courage, okay? Take the chance you fear the most, which you did. You did when you did that show.
Second rule.
Second rule, united we stand, okay? We need each other, right? Third rule, never give up. Be of service. Be useful, Charlie, right? Fourth rule, okay? If you don't like these rules, make up your own. If that Shakespeare, to thine own self be true.
Do you know what? You're very interesting as an interviewee. Because you've come in making sure you've done your research on us as well.
Well, I think it's polite.
Also pointing your finger quite a lot, to be honest.
What do you...
That really, I'm so sorry, Charlie.
Do you not like being interviewed?
Do you know, I like communication. I don't mind.
Now, look, Jerry Hallowell is, of course, the type of celebrity the British bashing corporation hates. She's a Thatcherite. She's not someone who buys into their worldview. So, of course, on the BBC Breakfast sofa, she was hectored by Naga Munchetty and Charlie State. Now, Nick Tenconi, I've had a lot to do with Jerry Hallowell over the years, right? You know most of these celebrities are absolute nightmares and total divas. Not Jerry, actually, not Jerry. She's a Thatcherite. She's a really good person. But isn't the bigger point here that Naga Munchetty seems to get away with murder at the BBC? They are sacking male dancers on Strictly Come Dancing for simply making a joke. Wyn Evans sacked, driven to the point of suicide because he used the term spit roast with his dance partner, and we're assured that it was just a joke, right? Yet Naga Munchetti is able to make a joke about a sex act behind the scenes at BBC 5 Live, is able to bully a junior staff member and seemingly upset guests live on air, yet no action is taken. Do you think, and let's just be frank about it, right? Do you think this is because she has those protected characteristics at the BBC? She is a woman, and she is a woman of colour.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I really do quake with rage at this point. What I'd like to say about Naga is, do you notice that her chief characteristic, we all know who she is, we all know how she operates and how she behaves. Her chief characteristic is smugness. Her chief characteristic is that feeling of outrage inside, where you know you're not a decent person, you're not genuine, you've got an agenda. Now, I'm presuming that she's on, 100 trillion squillion a year or whatever. I can only imagine what she's on. And there's this coveted, sort of revered, heralded spot for someone like her. And all we get, the taxpayer, is smugness. And it really, as I say, I quake with rage, because if I had £1 for every time I've seen this smug lefty, we're winning, we're protected, we're millionaires, we live in our gated communities, we're part of the satanic mainstream media club, we don't report on all the issues that we should do, whilst looking down our nose at the working class, whilst only talking about the agenda that is leaning towards the left or outright communism. I mean, let's take, for example, all those complicit at the BBC, perverts and deviants, the lot of them. When was the last time you saw any kind of coverage on the genociding of Christians and the persecution of Christians, Armenian Christians in Azerbaijan, the attacks carried out by Boko Haram in Nigeria? Over 300,000 children have been massacred by the Islamist terror group ISIL splinter Boko Haram, which translates into Western education forbidden. When are you going to see that? I noticed you're bringing up Hugh Edwards there,
yes,
who should be rotting in jail.
An actual paedophile. An actual paedophile who everyone knew about at the BBC, right? And we were told, Nick, weren't we, after Jimmy Savile, oh, this would never happen again. This would never happen again. It does. You're an organisation of paedophilia. And I think it's very correct for you to point out, and not enough people say this, the BBC is anti-Christian, which I think makes it anti-British.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've got my little British charter in front of me. I have it with me every interview in case people ask me. Those who are here, I'm going to link this to something that happened in an X Spaces that I took part in last night.
Oh yes, that was with the Great British Pack, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, I think it's great.
The big topic in the last 48 hours is the big expose with regards to Deliveroo. I think the Sun have put something on the front page. This links to my trip to Calais. This links to what we've already covered. We know that the services that these people, these illegals, will pick up with the Deliveroo economy and the Just Eats and the Uber taxi drivers, we don't need them. We can do it ourselves. And if we don't have fast food takeaways and fast food options, and we don't have vape stores or whatever, good, absolutely fantastic. So we know that there is a huge problem within the BBC, which is supposed to be revered around the world. Nothing in terms of actual free and fair press reporting based on any of the crises we face, let alone actually going into the truth and dynamics of the grooming gang scandal. And again, I'm on record as saying, and I linked this last night, a lot of people are saying we should tax these companies that facilitate domestic terrorism. And I said, tax? I'm outraged. They should be in prison. The companies that are here, going back to that British Charter, the companies that are here to subvert our culture, the companies that are here facilitating domestic terrorism, the British Broadcasting Corporation, the BBC, those who are here to subvert our culture, to subvert our faith, to demonize us, they do not belong here. That means either jail or deported. Again, it is time for the British public to wake up to the realities that we are at war with police totalitarianism, far left propaganda totalitarianism, a police state, and a mainstream media that is here to denigrate and to demonize us. So no shots fired, no missiles fired, plenty of bloodshed, though. Not that the mainstream media will ever cover that in a meaningful capacity. But you're right. When you say things like they're anti-Christian, therefore, by definition, they're anti-British. And that's what I say about when I
because
heard
the BBC doesn't buy into the fact that we are a Christian country. Look, it's really interesting you've mentioned the delivery driver thing. We spoke about this on the show yesterday, and Will Shue, their chief executive, was actually named our union jackass. So he's now a contender, by the way, to become the worst Briton in the world this week, because we're going to put him head to head with everyone else at the end of the show. But I just want to show you this expose that Chris Philp, the Conservative Home Secretary, did on this issue, where he actually was able to expose that this is going on under our noses in central London. Watch.
So we're at the hotel here. You can see there's a lot of Just Eat bikes here, a lot of Deliveroo bikes, loads of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, loads and loads of these bikes here. They look as if they're being used for delivery company work. Uber Eats, I can see an Uber Eats bike over there as well. Lots and lots of these bikes here. So let's try and find out a bit more about what's going on. What's going on with you guys here? It's an asylum hotel. You guys have arrived here. I'm Chris. I'm a member of Parliament, just interested in learning a little more about what the story is here. How long have you guys been here for? Whereabouts are you from? From
Yemen.
Yemen, you're from Yemen. Okay. And did you get here by boat?
No English.
No English? It sounds pretty good. What about you? Did you come here by boat? My name's Chris. I'm a member of Parliament here. Just looking to learn a little bit more about what the story is. So what's your name? I'm Chris.
I'm
Okay. And whereabouts are you from?
Iran.
From Iran? Okay. From Tehran or?
Sorry. You know.
You can if you want. It's a free country.
Yeah,
They can talk if they want, can't they? No? So I've just spoken to the shopkeeper in the shop behind me. He confirmed the hotel is an asylum hotel, and people, he said, arrived on small boats are now staying there. And he also said he's seen lots of the residents of the hotel doing work on Uber Eats and those kind of companies. So obviously working illegally.
Now, Nick Tenconi, I know the first thing you're going to say, and I totally agree. You know, the Conservatives this problem and with over 14 years in government, right? But I wanted to show you that because I do think it is fascinating that it's so obvious what is going on and no one is trying to stop it.
I honestly, Dan, it makes me so happy to see that as a result of the work, which is professional activism, or what we call smart activism, online and at street level, from both Turning Point and UKIP, has pushed the needle. That's what I work for the people. That outside of a general election and outside of UKIP deploying phase 2, which is to train up our candidates, I work for the people. That's what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to get those who currently hold the keys to power and those in opposition. So you've got red and blue, and then you've got Reform, and then obviously UKIP are just outside Reform. So it's so heartwarming to see. Get off your asses and go out to street level MPs and start doing what the British public demands of you. We're seeing this. I think Nick Timothy made a particular speech. I think I want to say his name's Nick Timothy.
That was great. Yep, the first time in decades,
fantastic.
really, someone has really gone for Islam.
Unheard of. You know, I'm a Christian. And whilst I respect religious beliefs, X, Y, Z, you have to sort of placate in that regard a little bit. I know why he did that. He wasn't shaking too much. But, I mean, obviously, there's a severe lack of testicular fortitude with a lot of these people. What are you waiting for, guys? The window shifted. So it's an honour that I get to stand with my team and with good people on the purple tidal wave. Look at that video from that MP. He must have had security with him. I mean, obviously, you know, that these guys are paid an awful lot of money. So it's like, get off your ass and go and do something. And again, here we have it, this dynamic. And this is really, really difficult to talk about. It was the Conservative Party and the Labour Party, all of Tony Blair's tenure, all of the Conservatives that were complicit, that were in on it. And now, because of good people like Tommy Robinson, Katie Hopkins, because of the rise of new media, good people like yourselves, the influencers, because of Patriots, because of UKIP, because of my team, they're going to go and take the glory. That's what they're going to try and do. They're going to get off their backsides now. And I say to the British public, and that's why I've been fair when I first started to talk about this, let's not forget what the establishment and all those involved who are complicit did. It is time for regime change in Britain and within the government. It is time to take our country back and to deliver justice to the girls and to the British people who have had their lives destroyed, certainly forgotten about, at best demonized by the establishment. So that's what I'd like to say. It's great to see them doing something, and heartwarming that it's because of our activism that shifts the needle. But are we really going to forgive them, and are we really going to forget?
Very, very well put. Nick Tenconi, the leader of UKIP. You know, I always love having you here on Outspoken. Thank you so much for all you're doing, and please do come back soon. And lots of amazing feedback, actually. Aster Grind says, I'd love Nick Tenconi to get into power rather than Farage, as he's a lot more transparent and trustworthy, but I just don't think enough people will vote for him. Tracy Lewis says, watching Rayner on PMQs today, looking Starmer up and down with a stern face. She's on his tails and after his job. Absolutely she is. Jack Springs said, Labour and Tories need to go. Zia useless will be a problem for us as long as he's in reform, though. Nigel needs to make a decision about what he actually stands for, if anything. Mr. Raw said Rupert Lowe and Jenrick need to lead the Conservative Party. It's the only way to achieve change. And Jenny Chilton on the whole Narinder Kaur expose said, it's how Narinder makes her money, get everyone riled up. She's an empty vessel. Okay, now it's time to reveal today's Greatest Britain and Union Jackass, your Union Jackass nominees. Naga Munchetti, nominated by Darren Donaldson for her rude swipe at Jerry Horner, causing BBC executives to have to apologise to the Spice Girl afterwards. Diane Abbott, nominated by It's Only Me 44, for backing Palestine action over the RAF Bryce Norton sabotage. And Narinder Kaur, nominated by Scott Fly 632 for blatant attention-seeking and victimhood. It's a pantomime to keep relevant, but it's becoming exhausting. We should all just stop engaging with her. Okay, to the results. In third place, with 21%, is Diane Abbott. The runner-up, with 28% of the vote, is Naga Munchetti. But today's Union Jackass, with 51% of your vote, Narinder Kaur. And we can reveal now who will be going head-to-head for this week's Worst Britain in the World. I'm going to pop this up in my posts immediately after today's show. On Monday, it was Stephen Fry. On Tuesday, it was Humza Yousaf. On Wednesday, it was Deliveroo CEO Will Shu. And on Thursday, today, Narinder Kaur. All four will be going head-to-head. Get voting, and I will reveal the winner on tomorrow's show. Today's Greatest Britain is Katie Hopkins, nominated by the Lion of Judah for reminding people to be teachable and stay curious. Never believe the MSM or the government. And I think that is an absolutely perfect reason for Katie Hopkins to win today's Greatest Britain. Now, do stand by because we're moving on to Substack now for the Uncancelled After Show, where I'm going to be joined by Lady Colin Campbell. Oh my goodness, I'm excited about this. She is going to unleash. So at this stage, we come off YouTube and Rumble. We move to Substack to continue the conversation. www.outspoken.live is where you can sign up. But do join us tomorrow here on YouTube and Rumble, or on podcast, because of course Outspoken is now available as an audio podcast wherever you get yours. 5 p.m. UK time, midday Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific live. Hit subscribe if you're watching on YouTube or Rumble. And most importantly, I promise to keep fighting for you.